Okay, guys, so I'm super happy with what I have over here. I already worked on my verse. I worked a little bit on the intro, so I have an initial side of what the song would be. So on this lesson, I'll be now working on the hook and developing and expanding that part, and maybe finalizing this essential part of the song will make it feel complete. It would probably add what we need to have a full produced and structured song. So let's get right to it. So I ended up like finishing this first verse, which is building up all the way through, just coming in towards the end, about to explode in the main hook. So we have this little break, so it's kind of like a breather, and all of the full elements that we have over here with drums, bass, melodies, and the chords. So now let's start by copy and pasting, these elements that we have over here. So let's select everything. You see how everything, is in blue right now. So let's just copy C, Command V. It's just to paste it. And now so let's listen to how this sounds coming in from the ending of the first verse going into the second hook, which would be the main one. So I love how it sounds, but now we need to feel that we're getting in, to the hook. So to do that, for me, it's just some minor details sometimes. I think we need something that would give it like a rise, or something that would make it a little bit brighter. Kind of like an impact. It could be, a sound effect. It could be a symbol. It could be whatever, something, a little small vocal chop with some reverb, something that could give it a little bit of a accent to this initial part of the hook, so you can feel there's something different from what you just heard before. So that's something that I want to like start with to come into this transition. And maybe what I'm thinking about also is adding another element melodically, another melody that is not going to be exactly like a different pattern or whatever. What I think is just using the same chords that we have on the keys, but maybe using it, on a pad that's a little bit more sustained, so you can get like a fuller version of what the chords are, but you will only listen to that in the hook. So let's start by you doing, this little transition. So what I feel I want to play around with is maybe a cymbal or a crash or something that, of that nature. So you can like, over here, you see I got crashes and cymbals, and I'll play like all the different ones that I have on, on this folder, and maybe you can get an understanding of what I'm looking for. But for you, it can maybe be a sound effect or whatever, the different options that I mentioned before. So let's play around with some of these. So this would be, one of the cymbals on the drums. You can just like hit it with, with the stick, and that would be something that, accentuates that initial part of like when the drums come in. So this is something that I'm looking for, but this is a little bit too live percussion. I want something a little bit more of a drum machine vibe. So let me try and see if there's something. This is something a little bit more what I'm looking for. So you can tell the difference. This is more of something that you will listen to on a live, drum set. This is more of a drum machine type of cymbal. So let's just drag this cymbal over here, but I'm gonna put it inside of the percussion group that we already had. So I'll just like open up this, this would be my drum group. Let's just create a new audio track, Command T. Just drag this over here. So now you see the image of the, of the cymbal. So what I want to do is play around with this now, how it's starting. I added a little bit of a fade out, so you can have a little bit of the volume just, going down. And let's listen to how this sounds. But my guess is I want to try something beforehand over here in this area, so it can maybe have a little bit of a sweep or something, coming from, the bottom, like in volume, and start rising up so it can just like explode and have an impact when it comes in. But let's play it right now how it is so you can tell the difference from where we ended and how the hook is starting. So I like this. It's way too high in level, so let's just like lower this a little bit and start to find what would be a good balance in levels for it to come in, so it's not too in your face, not too like loud, but just add a little texture to the beginning. Still too high. Let's keep going down. Getting closer, I think it could still be a little bit more tucked in. So what I want to do is add a new audio track. Copy this with Command C, Command V to paste it. I'm gonna open up the image of this, sample, and go over here. And this, little 2 arrows underneath this would be an option for you to reverse that sample. So instead of starting over here, it would just flip and go the other way around. So instead of like the image going down, it would start to go from down to up. So to do that, like we did a fade out in this part, we got to take this out because now this image would be the other way around. So let's just do it so you can see the difference. See how everything just switched? It's kind of like a mirror, flipped out. So now this part, I just want to like drag it and bring it to this side. So it has a little bit of like a crescendo going in and just exploding when the cymbal and the crash comes in on this side. So let me lower the volume because right now it's going to be super high, just to match whatever we have on top. Over here is 13, negative 13.6. Let's go to the same, negative 13.6. So let's see how this sounds, and maybe we can start, playing around a little bit. I think that was perfect. I think that's exactly what I was looking for. It just gives you a little bit of a moment to feel, okay, something, different is coming in. So these, cymbals gave me that little bit of a transition from verse to hook. So now what I want to add is that element that I mentioned before of adding maybe the chords, the notes that we already have, and make them, into a pad. So I'm gonna open up a plugin and try to find, the right pad or something that could work for this section over here. So Command Shift T would be to create, the shortcut to create a MIDI track. And let's go over here to the plugins and probably, find something that, could work for this part. I'm thinking I could probably work with Contact from Native Instruments. It's a really cool plugin because you can keep adding different banks from different companies that, do different things. Like you could have like live instrument stuff, you can have live percussion, organs, strings, but you can also have, synths and, more mallets. Like there's a lot of things that you can keep adding. So I highly recommend, going through the Contact libraries and finding, whatever fits what you want to do. But for this one, I want to play with this one called Glaze. I think it's a cool plugin. It has a lot of like vocal pads or synths or choirs. So I want to maybe play around with this and see if it fits with the chords that we already have. So let's find a cool sound over here. So I think it's cool. I think I don't like the glide that we played around with on the lead bass that we, tried before. So it would be this knob over here. I'm gonna put it all the way up so you can tell the difference of having it with and without. So you see the note starts going a little bit up like an escalator. But if we take it off, it goes from the beginning. It has no up and down. It would just like start right away rather than just like putting it over here and it just starts going all the way from down to up. So I'm gonna take it off and play around copying the keys that we have already, you know, and the chords that we have on the song by copying this MIDI file onto this one, Command C, Command V, and let's solo it. So I like it. I think it's cool, but the sound that we had before on the MIDI, it wasn't as sustained. So by the time these notes end over here, the sound were, you know, it will stop. So I don't want it to do it on this, you know, particular sound. So what I would do is just extend each note towards the end. So it's never, you know, stopping. It would be sustained and will continue to sound as long as, you know, these notes are, you know, playing. Let's drag all of these, you know, to the right. Finishing with these couple over here. So I think we have something good over here. Let's play it alone and see how it sounds now. So I think I like this, how it sounds. I'm gonna play it now with everything that we have on this section of the song. So I think it's cool, but you can't really notice it in the octave that it is right now. So let's maybe select everything, raise it up. Let's see how this sounds now. So I think that's better. You can notice it a little bit more. Now it doesn't get lost with the rest of the sound. So what I want to do is try to add that sidechain effect to this sound over here by maybe, or using the Kickstarter, probably doing manually. And I think I'll probably do it manually for these, you know, two sounds that we have over here. So we can probably manage it a little bit more. And the way that we do that is going over here to like dynamics. So it will have a compressor. I will move that, you know, over here to the track. There's a little arrow over here. If you open it up, it's gonna give you like more, you know, options. And here you will see it has sidechain. So you just turn this on and you see how everything over here on this, you know, left side, you know, turns back up. This section over here is gonna choose what element of the song is gonna be creating the sidechain. That means if the kick comes in, every time that kick will come in, the volume will go down exactly on that section. So it could be a kick, it could be a snare, it could be a bass, whatever you want. But for this, I want it to go up and down every time, you know, the kick comes in. So we just, you know, open this up and find in which track of the session we have the kick. So you will see over here, number 16 will be the kick. So you just select it, go to this view over here. For me, I like working with this view because I can see the little arrows and the knobs and everything, and just move the threshold, which would dictate how much of a sidechain do I want, how aggressive I want it to be. So I would play this alone so you can probably, you know, hear the difference of like how aggressive this could like end up being. So let's play it alone and see. So you see, you start to hear like the up and down, and it's playing every time the kick is going. So every time the kick comes in, it will go down. So it will give it a little bit of a groove, a little bit, you know, of a cool vibe. So I don't think I want it as aggressive. Maybe I'll keep it over here. So I think this could work. And I will copy this compressor sidechain that we're using onto the main keys, but not make it as aggressive, just so it has a little bit of a movement whenever the kick comes in. So let's put it over here, play these keys, you know, alone. So it just has a tiny bit, you know, of a movement, of a groove, and maybe, you know, it helps. So what I want to do right now is, since the hook goes twice around, I'm gonna just copy this section and this, you know, these sections over here, and the drums, except the crash and the cymbal that we just added. I just want that for the beginning of the initial part of the second hook. But if we start putting it, you know, every time the hook starts or every time a pattern starts, it takes away the special moment that it has over here. So let's just copy all of this, Command D, to this side. Let's move this so we can hear the last part of the verse, and we can see the transition from the ending of that verse going on to the hook, and see how this sounds right now. Okay, so we still have this solo. Let's take it off. Now let's listen to everything completely. So listening to it now, I think it serves the purpose of now feeling that we came into the hook. I feel certain things, maybe this, you know, new pad doesn't have to be as aggressive on the side chain, so you can hear a little bit more of it. So I think it sounds nice. Maybe we can lower it a little bit more so it's just a touch when it comes in. So maybe we can play around a little bit with this sound that we had over here, this arpeggio. Maybe we can add a plugin that could probably, you know, maybe add some little like saturation or like compression or reverb and stuff. So I like using this plugin over here from Slate Digital, Murder Melodies. I think it has a lot of like different presets and things that could, you know, maybe make this pop a little bit more. So let's play around with this just a little bit. Maybe add some space and stereo, you know, to the sound, so it's not sounding everything in the middle. Maybe we can expand it a little bit more so it's not in the way of everything just sounding exactly in the middle. So this one here is the one that's spreading the image right now. It was everything more in the middle. Now I'm like making it more stereo, expanding a little bit more so it's not in the way of, you know, the rest of the instruments, the kick, the snares, the bass, and, you know, everything has its own, you know, space. So let's keep playing with some of these knobs they mentioned. You have, you know, some reverb, you have some saturated, you know, have some delay over here. So let's see what works, what not works, and, you know, let's keep playing with it. So I think these work. this has a wobble over here, so this will start to play around with the notes. It would probably bend it up and down, kind of like detune it a little bit, so it sounds like a older vintage type of sound where it's not too perfect. That sometimes works. Let's play around with it, see if it's something that we can add to this, or if we don't add it at all, but let's see if it helps out. So I think it didn't really add that much. I could probably leave it as a little detail over here, like at 21%. I think it starts to get a little bit too crazy to the right. So let's keep it over here. Let's probably copy this plugin over to the new pad that we added and see if we can add like a little bit of, you know, texture or something different onto this, you know, melody. Just open this up. Right now it has all the settings that we had on the sound before, but maybe we can change around a little bit of what this sound has. So I like it, but now you see that the sidechain is towards the left and the plugin that we added is towards the right. So right now, everything that I'm doing on this plugin right here is not being sidechained right now. So if we just move this to the left, it will start now having, you know, everything that's towards the left of this, you know, compressor sidechain will also do the same effect. So let's tell the difference, you know, right over here. So now you get to hear the up and down a little bit more again. So let's just, you know, copy this also to the main chords. But I think for this one, I just want the spreader on the image, on the, you know, for it not to be so in the middle. Maybe have a little bit more of, you know, space within stereo and, you know, the different speakers. So let's turn all of these knobs, you know, down. I don't think I want them sounding right now. So I just want to use this over here. So let's bring it to 0 and see the difference. So this is kind of like a filter over here. This takes a little bit of the higher frequency. This will take a little bit of the low one. So let's see if we can take a little bit off of, you know, the low. I think that's enough. So let's play this now with what we have and see if it's, you know, a little bit better than what we had before. I think I like it. Maybe to this sound we can add a reverb so it doesn't feel as present. It's more of an ambience that we could add to it. This one over here. So let's look for the vintage verb, add it to this part over here before the sidechain so it has the same effect. Take some low end off of it so it doesn't have the lower frequency. I think now it works a little bit better. Let me see. So I think this works. One thing that I'm hearing, the vocals already have, you know, the different effects. It has reverb, it has some delays, it has, you know, harmonies. It's a little bit more, you know, close to done. But now that we have a structure, I think we can add a little element to this breakdown over here. So it has a little bit of a more special moment. So let's open up one track over here, Command T, and let's see what section of this vocal I want to have and just like add a different delay to it. So you can have something a little bit more special just on this section over here. So let's play it. So let's grab all this section over here, Command C and Command V, just paste it. Let's solo this and look for a delay on the, you know, audio effects over here. So let's go delay and loop. Find over here, delay. Let's drag this over here. So what I want to do, you see this knob over here, it says dry, it says wet. The more wet, it's gonna be, you know, not really listening to what we have on this over here, but more of the effect. The more we move it to the left, when it's, you know, dry, we will have none of the effect and more of this that we have over here. So you can tell the difference. I'm gonna just play it dry and then, you know, start making it a lot more wet so you can like see the difference. Now let's move this to the right. So you start hearing it a lot more. So what I want to do is just keep this all the way up because we have this same vocal on top already. So if we, you know, we put it twice, it's not going to sound as good, or this part maybe will sound a lot more higher in volume because you're adding it twice as a lead vocal. So what I want to do is just use the effect over here. Right now it's at a 3. So it would be kind of like in thirds in terms of like the timing. So I maybe want to play it at 4 or 2. So let's see how it sounds at 4, and you will tell the difference in the timing. Maybe one is a little bit sooner than the other, one takes a little bit more of time. This would just be the timing of what the delay or the echo would be. So let's play on this one at 4 and see how it sounds. Let's play it in 2 and see how that sounds. So that's a lot more faster. So I think maybe we can start with the faster one, see how it sounds. What I for sure want to do, this will be the EQ, the filter. Maybe make it a little bit lower so it takes a little bit of the, you know, low end frequency and the high end. So it sounds a little bit more in the background, not as present as the lead. So maybe you can tell the difference like over here. If we bring it up over here again, it's a lot more fuller. So I want it to be more in the background. So let's just play it with, you know, the original acapella and see if this on the number 2 works better. Maybe on the 4 works better. On the 4 works better. And maybe we can probably raise the volume, lower it. Let's see what works better. So I think I like this. What I want to do is just maybe raise the feedback. Feedback will be how much of the, you know, right hand of, you know, the delay I want to keep listening to. So I'll play it just alone so you can see. This will cut it a little bit earlier if we take it off. This will keep it going if we keep it, you know, towards the right. So let's keep it all the way to the right so you can see. Now let's move it to the left. It's cut off like super early. So I really want to listen to it. So I'm going to put it maybe like at a 60. 60 over here. And what I want to do is just raise the volume of this track over here. Let's see how this sounds over here. Maybe we can add a little bit more feedback so it keeps playing a little bit more. So that's our hook. I think we have a complete hook. We added more elements, more added details that make it sound a lot more fuller than what we had before. So what we're gonna do over here is just add a little pattern of an outro, just to make it sound complete. And what I'm feeling is I want it to be simple, having the chords that we have, but probably it could be cool to add this element that we have over here, this melody. Let's copy and paste it. But instead of being exactly how we have it on the hook, you see over here is, is at a +12 on the, the note. Maybe we can turn it down an octave and see, how this sounds. Shift and going down would be the shortcut to bring it to 0 again. So now would be a little bit of a texture, something a little bit different, from what you heard before. And maybe it's a little extra detail as a closing, for the song. So let's play out last, half of the hook going into the outro and see how that feels. So I think it's cool. It gives it like a little bit of a different moment because the intro is starting with just the keys, only on a higher octave, and the ending would be the lower keys with an added, detail of that melodic element. So now I think we have, we have an intro. We have the first two, pieces of the chords where it goes down an octave. So you can hear a lot more of the first hook, the first introduction, going into the first, half of the verse, which we have, the filtered elements of the, the percussion, which I think is something that by listening to the track, you keep on like deciding, okay, I need something different over here. I need a little bit of, a dynamic. And I feel that because first 3 bars of the song are just keys. So if you keep adding just like 2 more bars of just keys, it wouldn't have dynamic. It would be a little bit too static, a little bit of 2 of the same. So it could get boring, people would skip it, or the artist would, feel, okay, I just needed something different so you can keep me, interested. So that's good to be adding little details as you go. So for, the first initial part of the verse, I ended up like just filtering stuff so you can have a little bit of a different feel to it, like going from this keys over here, super bright, into like more in the background. And I think that helps out with, some little dynamics, and adding the, the filtered drums over here. Which I still feel for sure now listening to them like over here. You can just like open up like the frequency and maybe lower this a little bit more, so it can feel a little bit more, in the background, like if you're not listening to the sounds completely. And from there on, we pass on to the second half of the verse, and this is the first time that you hear the percussion, really come in as, at full force. Just listening to the kick, the snare, the hi-hat, all of those elements, with also the 808, which is the first time that we introduce it. So you start to see this little like escalator, effect of just keys, but with, filter percussion, then full percussion with a bass line, and then go into the hook where you have like all of those elements that you heard before, which are like the keys. We added a pad, to accentuate, those keys. We added a melodic, arpeggio underneath it. We still have like the lower lead bass to give, the lower, keys of the chords. You got the 808, that would be your bass, something that makes it sound like a lot bigger, a lot fuller. And you get the full drums with this, sweep and, cymbal that would make it sound like, it exploded, it has an impact to it. And, by that, I think we have, a complete, full song. Let's go back from the top and listen to everything that we have so far. Yo soy como un perro fiel, solo para el que está pa' mí. Ya me estaba olvidando de ti. Pero me tira a inventar, me va a caer.
calentar, sabes que me gusta quemar, me va a calentar si vienes. Baby, me tira por inventar, no va a aparentar, tú la tienes. Quieres que yo te haga tiempo. Si estuviera casado te diría síguelo, pero de madrugada me tira un dímelo. Dicen que ahora estás ni que como un titero. No te puedes sin su dinero. Nada de lo que eres te hace complicado. Sé que en la noche un polvo te hace falta. Y aunque trabajes los lunes, baby, tú quieres que te lleve a la playa. Que no me mueva tranquilo una guagua. Vaya que viene del agua. Dice que siente amor. Quieres volver como decía ya ayer. Sin ti me va de lo más bien. Pero si quieres perder, no va a calentar. Sabes que me gusta quemar, no va a calentar. Si quieres, baby, me tira perder, no va a aparentar, tú la tienes. Quemar y morirnos adentro.
Okay, so this vocal demo that I have over here only has one verse and it leads up to the second hook, which is only the only main hook that we have. So on the next lesson, what I'll be doing is just copy and pasting what I already have as a first verse and working on it to make it a second verse that will lead up, to maybe the second pre and the last hook, which would be the third part that it comes in, but it will have a lot more of a closing. So stay with me on the next lesson and let's keep building on this track. Okay guys, so now it's your turn to produce your hook. Go ahead and add all these elements onto your hook, and maybe with this you can start like placing around the different sections and sounds and building up from all the way from the intro, going into a verse, leading up to what would be your main hook. So I'll see you guys in the next lesson.